After a sea of changes, you might say, since Microsoft introduced Windows 8, Windows 10 is their third attempt, and it's still an exercise in trying to make an operating system that works well on both mobile and PC devices. So with that, there's always a compromise. I think the issue that was with Windows 8 was the fact that there was too much of a change in the interface that caused people to have some concern. So with that said, Microsoft has decided to go back to some of the original elements that you found in earlier operating systems. But something that you have to keep in mind, I think that when Microsoft introduced Windows 95, if you recall, that was quite a shock. It was quite a change between the old operating systems of Windows 3.1 to what you had in Windows 95. So we're kind of at that same crossroads again. But hopefully this demo will try and show you some of the commonalities between the old and the new and what they're trying to do. So with that said, we will then move with the demo. As you see here, you have the desktop, and that is the default setting. There is no more start screen per se. It is actually, when you boot the machine up, you will be at your desktop. But you will be greeted with this. And what you see here is the new Start menu. And as you can see, it looks very much like the Start menu of Windows 7. But you also see that it has the elements of Windows 8. But to the left, you see Places, Your Most Used, and then if you click here where it says All Apps, you then have a list of all the programs and applications that you have started, that you have installed on your computer in alphabetical order. To the right of that are the familiar tiles that was part of Windows 8. And it too, you can scroll down to see them, and they would be the ones that you actually pin to this screen. So that also means that you can unpin all of these, and you will then just have the traditional Start menu that you had in Windows 7. There was a question yesterday about the fact if you could uninstall these all at one time, and to my knowledge, you cannot. For those of you that were pretty comfortable with the Windows 8 Start screen, you can expand the Start menu to be a full screen. And here you will see that it looks very much like Windows 8. One of the things about the new screen is the fact that the tiles actually stack in groups on top of one another in a vertical display rather than a horizontal that was in the prior editions of Windows 8. So you see here I have mine divided up as main. I have some that are labeled as miscellaneous. These are all customizable. You just right click like you did before, and you can then make the changes. And of course you can resize them to your liking. I have my Microsoft Office group in small icons, so they take up less room, because I just need to know where they actually are and just click on those. I have some that was labeled as everyday apps. I could have another group. I can make as many groups as I like. And basically to do that is that you still go over to the group that you have, and you right click on the icon and you click pin to start, and then the new icon will show on your start menu. And then of course to uninstall it, same way, just right click and you can unpin it to start, or you can resize it. To name the group, just double click and then just type and you have a new group started. And you can drag them drag them over if you like, and they will stay there, or vice versa. So it's very customizable. One of the things about the new Windows 10, it seems to be very smooth. Now the machine that I'm using is an old Dell. It was probably built in 2007. It has 4 gigs of memory, and I don't see any issues with it with running Windows 8 whatsoever. If you notice along
Bill, we do have one.
Go ahead.
Sorry, I hate to interrupt. We do have one question. As I said, if you have a question, please type it in the chat box. We do have one question. Is want to know if they can make the touchscreen separate from the desktop.
There is a setting over in settings where you can convert it from desktop to tablet. Also, they have a new feature really of Windows 10 is something they called Continuum. It's spelled Continuum, and the purpose of that is that it will allow you to run Windows 10 on a detachable or tablet. In other words, if you have a convertible device that actually has a keyboard attached and it actually looks like a laptop and it's in a clamshell, when you detach that from that keyboard, it then becomes a tablet device. So with Windows 10, it will be both touch and keyboard. The only thing that I've noticed is the fact that it's going to be the same type of start menu. So I really don't have a device, or I have not seen a device where it's running actually on a tablet. So I'm only guessing that it's going to be something that the tablet users will be able to adapt to. I don't think that quite answers your question, but I have not seen Windows 10 run on a mobile device as of this point. I hope that answers your question.
Thank
If you notice along the bottom, you see the traditional taskbar, but you see something that's new. The search has been completely changed, where it's now under the guise of something called Cortana. And Cortana was a product that actually first appeared on the Windows Phone. So now it's also will be appearing on the desktop as well. And it serves as the search engine. One of the things that I found a little bit disturbing is the fact, if you recall, on Windows 8, you were able to type directly onto the screen and invoke the search engine. That's not quite as simple anymore, because you still have to open up this, and then you can type from here, and that will cause the search engine to work. But say, for instance, if I wanted to just search for cars, and you see it's really quite fast, and there's two ways to get your search. Either search my stuff, which is stuff that's on your computer, or search. Windows 10 will adapt to that device. So if it's a touchscreen device, then it will be touch enabled. If it's a desktop device, it will be enabled to work with your keyboard and mouse. Although there was a misconception. Go ahead.
I think what she's asking was, when you start up, can you sign in, say, Bill 1, and have Bill 1 go to the desktop, and then log out of that profile and go to Bill 2, and have that start up in the Metro, all on the same computer?
No. There's no way to switch to the Metro tiles like it was on Windows 8. It's all one. They're all going to have the start menu, just as we saw. They all will start up like this. There's no hot corners. There's no tiles per se. I mean, no charms like it was in the old Windows 8. Although there are remnants of the tiles, and I'll show you that in a moment. But the screen is as we see it here. So I know that in Windows 8, you had an option where you could start it up with the tile menu, the start screen, or you could start it up with a desktop. In Windows 10, you no longer have that option. Does that answer the question?
Let's just move on, Bill. I think the questions are interrupting your flow.
Okay.
So, and Diane said,
so as we're going across the bottom on our taskbar, you'll find a new icon that's labeled as Task View. And what this enables you to do is that now you can have multiple desktops. So, and you can switch between the desktop that you're using. If I was to go here and click on the plus sign, that gives me a new clean screen where I can then launch. Let's say I will put Facebook here. So this is my Facebook page. And as you can see, I can then go back to any other screen that I want without just by clicking on that particular screen. So this is kind of it's a new feature that I understand of what I've been told is kind of typical of the ones that that is used with Linux, but you can have multiple desktops, which will be quite a boost for those people that do a lot of multitasking. I saw that, and yes, those can be done for multiple displays. Of course, we have our typical, we still have the jump list as we had before. And also when you hover over the icons, it shows you what you have open. If you right click, it gives you the jump list that you have. And as we go towards the right of the screen, we have what's referred to as, well, let me do this. I want to show you the new Explorer, File Explorer, because that's has been changed quite a bit. If you notice that the style of Windows 10 is very flat. You no longer have the 3D appearance of the icons. They're very flat appearing, which some people will like, some people won't. But if you go here to the very top, you'll see something that says Quick Access. If you remember in the previous version of Windows, this was labeled as, although it was labeled differently, it was labeled as, I can't remember now. It was labeled as favorites, if you recall. So favorites has been relabeled as quick access. And if you notice that you can pin these different files and folders to this. So say for instance, if I want to have a particular folder that I use frequently, I can right click on that folder and I can say pin to quick access. So that means now that all the ones that I use frequently are right here where I can get to easily without having to scroll all the way down to the bottom of the list to find what I'm looking for. And as you see, we still have OneDrive. OneDrive plays a huge part of Windows 10. Almost everything is linked to OneDrive. And so it almost duplicates everything that's in this PC, which is actually my local drive with my files and folders that have been identified to it. But as I move up to OneDrive, I still have access to all my files and folders that are on that particular drive. One of the things that I also really like here is that you can see on in the display pane here, you have your frequent folders are showing your frequent files, which makes it real handy if you frequently go to any of these documents and folders, you can get to them rather quickly. And they will be on your home screen. Of course, you still have share, which gives you quite a bit of options, and view. If I go down to my local disk, you still see the same types of files and folders that you see in the past. One of the things that was really interesting that I found that when I connected this computer to my network, it connected almost everything. It was there was absolutely no issues with having to being able to share files and folders across machines. As we move over, over in the navigational area, you'll find this is still familiar for us. It's carryover from both the desktop versions of 7 and 8. You still have your notifications that you access. But one of the things that is different is here is where is the new notifications area, which when you click on that, you get this flyout, and it shows you everything that has been occurred on your machine. You have notifications from OneDrive in this case. I have calendar that's showing different individuals' birthdays. It also notifies me of any types of files that I can use to open a particular app. Facebook information here as well. The question earlier about being able to switch between the two, this is where, in this case, it's grayed out because this is not a tablet. But this is where you would switch to like tablet mode. But it's not going to be any difference in appearance, from my understanding, of what we see from the desktop. It's just going to enable the touch capabilities. If I click here on display, I get can quickly go to change the type of resolution that I'm using, etc. Also, this allows me to connect how my connections are with if it's wireless, or I can connect to other devices that are actually discoverable. And then the last one is all settings, which allows me to go to all the settings of the computer. So this is not, it's kind of the replacement for the control panel, but it's in a new interface, but it doesn't have quite all the settings yet, but they're gradually moving to a new interface for the old control panel. So if I type system here, I get a list of the various things I can do and make changes to. So say for instance, here are all my printers that are connected. It shows network and internet, and personalization, my accounts, times and language, ease of access, privacy, and update and recovery. Now you're asking, probably says, where can I get to the old control panel? Well, it's really quite simple. We'll just type in control panel down here. And it will show up in our search, and click on it, and we'll get the familiar control panel. And depends on how you like to access it. If you use the category settings, you still have the large and small icon settings as well. In the update and recovery area, you still have quite a bit of options. As far as recovery of your PC, when you click here, you'll find that you can refresh your PC without affecting your files. That was a feature in Windows 8. And what it actually does, it supposedly gives you a fresh copy of the operating system. But you don't lose any of your photos, music, or videos, or personal files. That was a feature that was in Windows 8. If you happen to be disposing of a particular computer, you can remove everything and reinstall Windows. If you want to recycle it or start over completely, you can do that. This go back to a previous version of Windows will not be part of Windows 10. This is here only in the preview for those people that want to go back to, um, if they came from Windows 8 or Windows 7 and they downloaded the preview version, this gives them a way of getting back to their old operating system. And Advanced Startup was part of a feature of Windows 8 where you could start from some other boot device, such as a USB drive or DVD. Backup allows you to back up to your app data to OneDrive, back up your layout and passwords to OneDrive. And then this right here is for your local backup, where if you connect a external drive to your computer, then this is where you would go to set up that backup. Um, One of the things that you will note, if you're using, someone says a backup images, there's still, Microsoft has gone to what they refer to as history, but you can still do an image backup. And that's an option that you set when you're setting up your backup. So you can do an image of your hard drive and be able to restore from there. As I mentioned before, if we're in an app, let's say we're going to use the Mail app. And the Mail app is what I'm using to access my mail. And I can make this large or small. This is just like the apps that were on the tile menu of Windows 8. And as you notice here, I have this notification from my Google Calendar about today's technology conference. And as in the past, there was always a question, well, how do I print this out? Well, before, you used the charms to, you just went to the right, move your cursor to the right of the screen, and the charms flyout came out. And under devices is where you would do the, you select the printer that you use. Well, now what they're doing is that there's such what they're calling the Hamburger Menu. So when you click on that, you get what appears to be very similar to the old charms. So we still have search, share, and then there's our print option. So that only applies to the apps. Now, if you're using something like Microsoft Word, you still do it in the desktop version. So if I was to go here and I wanted to print, I come down here to print, and I would have my print menu. And this depends on which, of course, which application you're using. If it's a desktop app, say for instance, if I wanted to use Adobe here, and I selected this particular file, I'm not sure what's going on there. Maybe let's try that one. Okay, this is a desktop app. As you notice, there's the print button there. So I would just use that to print with. I saw a question, David, about David. David.
Yes, I'm
I,
here. It takes a second to
I
click.
saw a question about something that was relative to what I was just saying. I didn't catch all of it.
The chat menu, the screens. Do you have?
I don't see the chat. I don't.
Oh, do you have a screenshot?
Yeah, I don't see the chat
Okay,
menu.
they want to know. You guys still have a screenshot.
Oh yeah, the screenshot. Yes, and remember how you did that? You would you hit the you still use the print screen plus the I can't remember if it's the shift key or what, but yes, that still works. In other words, when you do the print screen, I think it's shift, you hear like a click. Um, and then the screenshot that you took would show up in your pictures menu. Let's see if I can get that to work. All right, it's the Windows key plus the print screen. And now if I go over to my pictures, there's my screenshot right there. And it still works. But in Windows 8 and 10, it's the Windows key plus the print screen button on your keyboard. Let's see. We still have some of the old familiar apps. My favorite app that was in Windows 8 was the food and drink menu. And as you can see, it's still there. And I have been terribly disappointed if that didn't wasn't available. I don't cook, but I enjoy looking at all the pictures. And again, there's if we want to print out a recipe, here again we would use the we'd use our hamburger menu up here to go and then click on print, and then that would print out our whatever information was to that particular app. Now, since that took us to a website, we then would use the print function um, of Internet Explorer. So just remember that how that all works for you is that that depending on the application you're in, that you have to be aware of where the print functions are. Let's see. So are there any questions that we have, David?
Yes, I've been saving a couple.
Okay.
There was a question, I think, about having the two panes. I think that's back when you were in File Explorer.
Oh, if you want to be able to
Snap screen.
snap screens, they're
I think the
still
snap
there.
screens is what we're talking about.
So what we'll do is to do that is I always use All right, so that's my Word document. I can bring it over to the left and snap it. And actually, it will actually snap in force, really, if you wanted to. Let's do another one here. Let's do Adobe Acrobat.
Can you pull up File Manager in there too while you're doing it so you can show?
Okay, and then I can. And so that still works the same way as it was before. And but I think there is a way. Let's see what else. Let's bring up. We don't want to do that. Let's bring up.
It looks so much easier on those YouTube demonstrations, Bill.
Do what? What'd you say, David?
I said trying to do this looks so much easier. I'm just saying trying to get it in fours looks so much easier on the YouTube demonstrations.
Yeah, I should have practiced that because I didn't realize I forgot to do that. But you can still I can still snap them in half, so I know that part. But to get them to snap in fourth, I'm not so sure how exactly that's working.
I think you
And
got
it
to pull
may
it to
not
the corner. I think you
it
got to
may
pull it
not
to the
be
corner.
working quite like um, it does in because that's not really snapping in fours. But yeah, she can. But to answer the question, you can still do that if you want to.
Okay, another
There it
question we
is.
have, are there going to be different versions?
All right, so there it is in force.
You got it.
Okay. So I actually have File Explorer here, I have Publisher here, and then I have the Word document over here. So if I was to click on one of these, let's see, where's it coming? It still stays in force.
Yeah. We do have a question. There are going to be different versions of Windows 10, like Pro and Ultimate.
No. This particular version is actually the Pro version. They're calling it. Let me get back to that screen where it shows down at the bottom. But there's not going to be different versions like Home and all that business that we had in the past. Get out of these. That particular file was in.
Okay, while you're doing that, someone asked, what about the compatibility with old software?
Well, that's always an issue. What I found, if the software that you were using ran on Windows 7, it also would run on Windows 8. I don't think there's going to be, or at least I don't see that big a change between the internal workings of 10 from 8. So I would say if it worked on 7, it's going to work on 10. And I don't know, particularly if you have a one, for example, what software would you be talking about?
I just read the question. I don't know, I think they may be talking about old 16-bit software.
I would say no. 16-bit software wouldn't even work on Windows 7.
Yeah.
If you had anything that was running, I would say anything that you were running on XE or Vista, because Vista was kind of the transitional operating system where it ran both 16-bit and 64-bit software. When Windows 7 came along, to my knowledge, it was strictly 64-bit, and 16-bit software would not run on it.
Okay, but if you had a 16-bit software that ran on Windows 8, it should run on Windows 10.
Yeah, but it's highly unlikely that it runs that any 16-bit software will run on 8. I mean, I can't think of any at all.
Okay.
So, like, you had some old games or something that was 16-bit, I don't think it will run. Unless
Okay.
unless you know something I don't know, David. I mean, I don't
Oh, I'm just,
I think 16-bit software is just matter of fact, 32-bit software is getting a little iffy, but 32 and 64, I would say yes. 16, I would say definitely not. But someone said it might run in a virtual machine, and that is a good point. You can also, load up old software, old operating system using a virtual machine and run it that way. And there is going to be a discussion of that on another track that I guess it follows this really.
different track.
Someone said something.
Can
There was a comment about 16-bit software, but 64, but Windows 8 is and 10 both for 64-bit operating systems. Where I remember in Windows 7, there was it was both 32 and 64, and you could run of course, that's a kind of a different discussion. It all depends on the processor that you're running too. So I would say no. I would say definitely no to 16, but 32 and 64, I think you're pretty safe with.
Okay. Can you boot into Windows 10 without having to log in to go to the internet?
Well, if you're going to install it with a local password and user ID, yes.
Okay. We got a question. Is what type of formatting does Windows 10 do?
What type of what?
Formatting does Windows 10 do on a hard drive?
Oh,
I'm assuming it's still NTFS.
No, it's still
right?
the same. It's NT. Hold on, it's NT. Let me get to it.
NTFS.
Yeah, that's still the same.
Okay.
We'll go here and look to be sure, but I'm pretty sure it's not any change.
There it is. Right on the local disk.
Yeah, see, it says NTFS.
Okay, I know at the end there were a lot of questions.
Referring to is the only thing that's different on the newer machines is the BIOS is different. It doesn't use the old BIOS. On some of the newer machines, they'll use, I can't remember what that's called.
Do you have any information on the new browser, the Spartan?
None whatsoever. It has not. It wasn't a part. Yes, UEFI is what someone mentioned. That's the only change, and that's only if you buy a new computer, you'll find that is the type of BIOS. Well, it's not BIOS, but that's the controlling factor of the operating system rather than the old BIOS. But the Windows 10 will be compatible with the old. This one has the old style BIOS. It works fine. Back to the question about Spartan. It has not been released yet, but one of the things that's going to be a feature of it is that it has a note-taking mode. You can draw on the pages with a stylus or add comments. So it would be particularly probably more useful to those people that have tablets than desktops. Um, uh,
Okay,
and it will have,
we need to start winding down the questions here.
and of course it'll have
So
the same
finish up your
that
question.
Cortana search engine built into it.
Okay, let's let Al Barrows be the last question here. Is Task Manager still used to control what apps start up?
Yes. So if I do Control Alt Delete, I get the screen that has Task Manager, and you have this box. Probably going to take a while for it to, a little bit of a while for it to load. Okay, and you have Task Manager, and then of course here you have the startup, and then you can then select how you want to be able to, or what you want started up, and what the impact of that particular um, app or program does when you bring up your machine. The ones that are high and the ones that are medium and the low. And then, of course, just by right-clicking on it, you can disable those. Also,
Okay, Bill, we got about, Judy's given us the 2-minute
I see
warning.
that.
So I want to,
But anyway,
well, thank everybody. So I want to thank everybody for coming today, and thank Bill for giving an excellent presentation. We'll be back in about 7 minutes for another presentation. That's going to be John Kennedy and Linux. So thank you very much, Bill. I'm going to turn off the recording. And